Hey everyone, thanks for joining me. It's Patty from pspapercrafts, and I have another Friday fun fold video for you. This one is called a double accordion gatefold. So isn't that cool? It's really meant to just stand up. It's a little bulky. I didn't even put any dimensionals because it is a little bulky. So I don't want to add anything to it, but if it's sitting, it's pretty. It just sits like this, okay? So I used all different patterns from this designer series paper that finally came back in stock, and it's out of stock again. It's so pretty. I love it. This is the Delicate Dreams, and this one came out, and I did a card class. Luckily, I was able to get the papers before it went out of stock. It came back, and I believe it's back the week of June 1st. But I love, this is the hydrangea hue, and this was the new first peek at it. But it's pretty paper. I love this. It looks almost like a chalk look. So I use this, and again, I think it's delayed because there's this like brass in the papers. So I think it's not just your standard paper. There's probably a special process that it has to go through, which makes it a specialty paper, and sometimes those are not as easy to source, I guess. I don't know, but that's my take on it. Delicate Whispers, this is part of the Sweet collection, and I thought this was pretty. And if you want to have something longer to write, you can always put something back here. But again, so cool, just sits there. So we are going to make this using the Cute as a Bug products, which I thought was really cute. So, Cute as a Bug, we will be using the paper, which, there's all kinds of things you can cut out actually with some of the dies. We'll be doing some of that. I love this, but we're not using that. So this is some of the papers. Some of these die cut out. But I love this paper. It's just really sweet. And then we have Sweet Bugs stamp set, and then the dies. So these are the dies that cut out some of the images on the paper. I love it when they do that. So let's get started. I was back and forth with what color the base should be. Poppy Parade, Old Olive, and I decided to stick with white, which is what I used here, but I'm going to use Old Olive on this inside piece. So first off, we want to get, this is thick basic white, and this one, and I'll have all the measurements. There's a lot of pieces here, a lot of measurements, so you can write them down as we go, or you can look below the video. There's a description, and if you click on more, there's a bunch of links, and one of them will be to a project sheet. Okay, so this is 5.5 by 9.5. Now, if you were using the same color, the other piece is 3, so 5.5 and then 3 is 8.5. So if you do use the same color, save this because you're going to use it for the other piece. Okay, hope that makes sense. So 5.5 by 9.5, and then we're going to do some scoring and cutting and snipping with our snips. So we want to score this at 1/2. So we're going to go to 1/2. And this is the 9.5 inch side. And at 2 5/8. So 2.5, and then the next one is the 16th, and the next one is the 1/8. So that's the 5/8. Then we're going to turn it all the way around and do the same thing. So we're going to score at 1/2. And then we're going to push it out to 2 5/8. Now we're going to turn this so that the 5.5 inch side is up. And we are going to cut down, we're going to move it out to 1 1/4, and then we're going to cut down to the score line. So we're going to go out to 1 1/4. I'm going to do this top and bottom and both sides. And if you see, you can see you could either go down to the score line or you can go down to 1/4 because there is the measurements there. So I'm going to just get this down to 1 1/4. Then I'm going to open this up and push it all the way down. Let's get this card out of the way. And we're going to do the same thing. I'm going to go, and it's really at the 9. Okay. Then we're going to do the same thing here, and you can do it on this end if you want. We're going to go out to, what did I say, 1 1/4. So 1 1/4. You could turn it around if you don't feel comfortable with this. And we're going to do at the 9-inch mark down, or to the score line, whichever you prefer. And then we're going to go all the way up here, and we're going to go down to the 1/2 inch mark, or the score line. Okay? And if you go over a little bit, it's not going to really make a difference, so don't worry about that. Let's put this aside and let's get this piece. So this piece, and you could use the same color or a different color. This is 3 by 10 5/8. Let me just make sure it's 10 5/8. I feel like it's longer than I thought. You're only really taking a little bit off. 10 5/8. So I did cut it. So you're only taking just a little bit off, 3/8, I guess, because it's 11 long. So now we're going to just score this on both ends. So we're going to score it at 2 1/8. So 2 1/8. So again, there's a lot of measurements, but don't let that bother you. And then 4 1/4. And then we're going to flip it around and do the same thing. 2 1/8. And then 4 1/4. So I think we're done with this for now. I think for the rest of the card, I think we're good. So we want to just fold and burnish all of these, and I'm going to fold them both ways. I really want them to be burnished well, because as I said earlier, there's a lot of bulk in this card and you want it to really sit. I did actually put that other one under a pile of clear blocks. You could put it under a book, just to kind of flatten it out a little bit. I do that sometimes. So we're going to go that way, and then we're going to go this way and just get them, kind of break the fibers of the paper so that it really lays. It's not going to be flat. It's just going to be what it is. But it's a nice one. I always like it when they kind of sit up and you can see it, if somebody, especially if it's just, you know, if it's somebody in a hospital or sick or something like that. So then this one, we're going to do a little snipping. We're going to cut off the 4 corners, okay? So we're going to snip from right along the score line right up to the cut line, okay? Very easy. So this is going to create some tabs that will help us attach the smaller piece to. When I was watching, so I watched Dawn Griffith do this. You know, there were a whole bunch. I don't know if she's the originator, but I did watch her. She's a very good teacher, card maker. So I wanted to see what her thoughts were. Some of them sometimes are different measurements. They're outside the US and they use different measurements. So I like to find somebody that uses the A2 size card. So she, I lost my train of thought. She's the one that came up with the measurements, and I changed a couple of things. I always change a couple of things, but I basically went by what she came up with. So we're going to fold these and burnish them. Kind of looks funny. We're doing this and we're not even making a box. Oops, I went a little too close there. And after this, we're pretty much going to just layer everything. And I think I'll do these also the other way. So I'm getting ready for my Alaska trip. I learned the Alaska trip from my sales from last year with Stampin' Up, and my son is coming with me, and I'm so excited, and he's so excited. They pay everything for 2 people, so we're going to do some excursions, so it should be fun. So this is the card, and then this is the inside that is going to attach to these tabs. Okay, so that's how the card will be, but we want to decorate it. Okay, so let's get our pieces. I decided I would use, and I think this might be Daffodil Delight, but I love the red plaid, so I was hoping the insides would be red, but it doesn't matter. So this is 4 by 5 1/4, and I think I have it upside down to have the grass going in the right direction. And we're just going to, so these can be, some of these can be die cut. They're so cute. This can be die cut. I did die cut a couple of them, or you can fussy cut them if you don't have the one that you like, if they don't have a die for it, because there's lots of little bugs that are just adorable. And if this isn't your thing, you go with the flower, right? Then we have 4 of these, and these are each, looking at my cheat sheet, 1 7/8 by 5 1/4. And we're just going to adhere all of these down. I hate cutting that side, but you gotta cut your paper. And then I'm gonna put it this way, have this solid up here. And this is all gonna be hidden, so you know, I cut in a little too far. It's not going to matter. Okay. I'm going to do the same thing, have the solid, more of the color on top. What I'm saying is it's down here is lighter. This one is the darker color at the top. And you want to make sure this lines up, you know, it's centered, and then it lines up across the top and the bottom. And everything should work out that way if you measured correctly. And I'm using my Stampin' Seal Plus. That's what I like to use. I go back and forth between that and liquid glue. So we're doing dog sledding and a helicopter ride. My son wanted to do zip lining, and I told him no way. I'm afraid of heights, so I'm not really enthused about the helicopter ride, but I think the dog sledding will be fun. And we're doing a train ride that Stampin' Up is covering, so it should be really fun. It'll be fun to see all of the Stampin' Up people, the people who work for the company, and then all the demonstrators. It should be a lot of fun. So this is our piece. Let's work on this one now. So in the center, I'm just going to put a white piece. So the white, I have some white mats, and then I have some other pieces. These are 2 by 2 7/8, and I think I will stamp this. I was trying to decide what to stamp, and I think I'm going to go with just the hello on the outside, and then love you lots on the inside. Okay, so I have the love you lots, and I want to break that up because look how big it is. I think I'll do love you lots. So the way I'm going to do that, and I think with this there's a lot of space between them, I'm going to do it in Poppy Parade. That is this color, so that's the red color. And I think you could probably get away with, I don't know if you can see, but there's space between the letters. You can either mask it. I am going to have to mask the U because it's got, I can't do the edge for both sides for the center one. But we're going to put love. It's very important now. We have to clean it off. Let me get my chamois out. Especially with red, we want to make sure there's nothing hanging out there. No residual. See that? That didn't really do a good job. I probably have to clean this off. Because if you leave that on, you're going to end up with that. So now we have to cover. You're going to end up with that on your on your card. Of course, we're doing this before we lay it down so that if we have a mistake, we can just flip it over. So I'm going to cover love, and I'm going to cover lots, because I want to do you next, because that's in the middle. You, and we want to take these off. Look at all that ink. Take that off. I'm going to actually throw it away, because I don't want to get ink on anything. Of course, I got it on my finger. I'm going to put these right in the garbage, because I will stick my finger in it. So then I'm going to center you right here. And then we've got to clean this good again. Stamp it on scrap, make sure everything is clean, and then lots. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to go on the edge here. Love you lots. So this would be great to give someone where they could just have it standing up and open. Love you lots. Okay, let's just clean that off. We're going to do some for the hello too, because the hello is part of Hello Friend, and I don't want that whole big thing. It's too big. Okay, so let's close this up for now. Let's put this down here. Right in the middle. And then I thought we would put more of these on either side. Make sure they're facing the right way. So let's put them down. And you can do this however you want. You can put embossed layers on. You can do all stamping. If you wanted to put some other sentiments in here, or if you wanted to leave it so you can write in there. Okay, and then on the front, and you have to decide which way you're going to close it. Okay, so I'm closing it this way. If you want, you could do it this way, whichever way you want. But whatever's going to be on top, you could have things bigger than this because it's going to sit on top, but you can't have it on that really. It's it might get crushed, like if you had something hanging over here. So I thought we would do this with the hello over here. And then I did do some die cutting, which I think is so cute. So this is on the back of this paper. Do I have one? Okay, so I just used the die, this die here, and die cut it. And then I die cut these little mushrooms, which I think I might put on the inside. And those are here. So there's these little mushrooms. I thought that was cute. Or you can stamp them if you want to stamp them. Sometimes I like the paper because it's it does better coloring than I do. And then there's these little butterfly and snail and dragonfly that I cut from Poppy Parade. So I think we might put these on the inside. I thought we would put her maybe with a dragonfly or something on this side. And then this on this side. And I wanted to show you how I cut this. Let me find the paper. I thought I had it out. So I knew I wanted this. I wasn't sure if it would fit. So I cut a piece of window sheet. And this is the size I wanted, okay? And this is, so the white one, where's my little, the white one is 2 by 2 7/8. So this is 1 7/8 by 2 3/4. And what I did was I took this and I said, oh, will it go over here? Cut that mushroom off. Will it go over here? And then I actually held it down and I cut this out. Okay, so I don't know if you can see that. But it helped me determine what size image would fit. Okay, hope that makes sense. So then we're going to just add this to this. I feel like I have some edges on this. I think I need to change my blade. I always go too long with my blades for my trimmers, but you can always just do this. Okay, so let's put this down, and I'm not popping anything up. I'm just adding everything flat. So we'll put this little cutie pie right here. Now let me get a little bit of glue. I was going to put the mushrooms here, but it didn't seem like there was enough room. So we'll just put a little dab will do ya right here. Come on. I don't want to go too hard. And we'll just put this right here. And then this is going to sit here. So we're getting there. And then there's one more little tricky part that Dawn told us how to do to center everything, which I think is helpful. Cute. And then this will come here. So it's kind of like a little fun scene. Okay, and let's put these. I love these little flowers too. I think they're cute. Am I out of glue? Whoops, that's what I was afraid to happen. I'm going to actually take some of this off because I think I don't want it to get in there, and I always have too much glue. I got it on the front. I don't want it to affect anything when I close the card. I have some on my finger. We're going to do a butterfly up top. Okay, that's that. So I think we have everything except for this, and then we have to put it together. But we're going to do a sentiment. This is, how big is it? Now I have glue all over me. This is 3/8. Let me get the glue off me. Okay, I actually had to wash my hands. The glue is just oozing out. So on this one, we just want the hello. So we're going to get our painter's tape or Post-it note or whatever you want to use. And we want to cover friend. And I want to really kind of, it's kind of embedded. The word hello is kind of embedded in the friend, if that makes sense. So we're just going to go like this. Just so we get hello, only hello. I didn't want to take away from these cute little mushrooms, so we're just, I mean, this looks crazy, right? We're going to do that. We're going to take all of this inky pieces off and try not to touch them and get red ink on the hand. And then we will just come over here and do a hello. That worked out. And I'm just going to trim it down. I want it to be very small. Just a little sweet hello. All that aside. And then we can just put this, and again, I'm not putting it up on anything. Just going to adhere it straight down. I mean, you can do this if you're going to hand it to someone, but if you're going to mail this, you might want to be just cautious of the bulk. Hello. Love you lots. Okay, so this has to go on here. We want to make sure that we have it all in the middle, okay? So what Dawn said was to find the middle of this and the middle of this. So this is 2, and let's measure it. Oh, it's 2. I think I made this a different size than she did. So we only have to do it at 1. So that's easy. Phew. So we're going to take a pencil. We will erase this, and we're going to mark it at 1. And then this should be 4 1/4. So the middle would be 2 1/8, right? Half of 4 1/4. I feel like it's on the fold. Yep. So we're going to do 2 1/8. All right, so those are the middles. Then the next thing is you want to line up your middles, and you want to make sure that this is not too high or not too low. We want to hide those tabs, and we want to make sure this is lined up, which you can eyeball. You really need, I'm going to put it right on this line so I know it's straight. And I thought, how is she going to get the glue down? But there's a trick. Not a trick, but there's a way to do it. All right, so that looks pretty good. And then I think that looks good. I think we need to go up a little bit. I see the top of that. Now I see the bottom of that. All right. Maybe the tab should be a little smaller. I think that's good. Let's see. Okay. We're going with it. So we're going to hold this down. We're going to close this over here, and we're going to put some adhesive. You don't want to go too far out. So you have to kind of eyeball it. And this is strong adhesive, so it should be good. I feel like I moved that a little bit. Okay, before we put it down, I did move it a little bit. After all of that, right? So we want to make sure we're, and if the tabs show, you can just cut them. You can go back here and just cut them off a little bit, okay? And let's erase our pencil marks. And the next thing we want to do is, it's like, where do you put the tab, right? So we're just going to adhere, put adhesive right along here. And then we're just going to lay this down. Wherever it falls, because it will fall in the right place. And we'll just put some here. Oops. Let's hope we don't put anything on there. Okay. So, ta-da, it's done. Fold, fold. Hello. Isn't that cute? So it sits like this, like when you see it, it's on the shelf, you're going to see this. And I just think it's really cute. All right, so either if you like the cute bugs or the pretty flowers. Again, this is called a double accordion gatefold card. I am working on my next week. I'm trying to get everything done before Alaska. So I'm working on my June calendar because we're right at the end of the month here. So I'll mail that out to all my email subscribers. If you want to sign up to my email and subscribe to that, you'll get this each month. And I always do a Friday video. I do card sketches and color combos and just different ideas for inspiration. So I hope you enjoy your week. I will be probably posting on Facebook, and maybe in my newsletter I'll put some pictures and give you an update as to what I'm doing and how it's going. This is my first trip with Stampin' Up, so I'm not sure what to expect other than it's supposed to be fabulous. So thank you, have a great week, and I will see you next Friday. Bye.